angels above, enabling us to feel stress and still be blessed from cradle to dust. These times is so hard, some got no job, some gon' go wrong, cause some don't know God. As for myself, one thing's for certain, I'ma strive to be an imperfect version of a perfect person. The perfect person. Let's have a candid conversation today. Let's talk about older folks, not necessarily the elderly, but individuals who are older than another individual. And just because your age is older, you think that your knowledge is superior. You might have more experience, but that does not necessarily equate to you being more wiser. And I've noticed a lot of individuals are guilty of doing this. And one thing that I learned, I never forget this. When I first started educating and teaching kids back in 2007, it was 11 and 10-year-olds I was teaching. And at the beginning of the time, MySpace, social media, all that stuff was still new. I knew nothing about coding, HTML code. All that stuff was foreign to me. But these 11 and 12-year-old kids, to me at the time, they were prodigies, geniuses, as it relates to being able to code. And had I not humbled myself, and had I not been able to see what they do, how they create websites and create pages on the computer and just basically have an understanding of the language of coding, had I not been able to humble myself, I wouldn't have learned anything from them. And that's a dangerous thing to do, to assume that, okay, just because I have more experience than them and I'm more knowledgeable than them in more areas than they are, they can't teach me anything. And I think that anybody out there listening, it is very important to humble yourself and understand that just because you are older than somebody else, a younger individual can provide information to you that could be very useful and pertinent to your personal or your own self-interest. And it would be a shame just because you have too much pride and you believe in the old trope that older means wiser or older means smarter. Just because you have that mindset, you didn't allow yourself to learn. I can't speak for everybody, but in African-American families, older folks are notorious for basically denigrating the knowledge, debasing, and just not even adopting the idea of that a younger person in the family can provide them with information that can be of usefulness to them. It's pretty sad, but it happens. And another thing I want folks out there to keep in mind, older can also mean being more ignorant. Some people have been set in their ways, and as they get older, they can become more stern, and it doesn't matter about facts or evidence or knowledge. It's more so how they feel about a certain subject or topic, and they're intolerable to other ideas, intolerable to new information, intolerable to facts that might disprove their own beliefs. To a younger audience. Now, and when I say older, I'm coming from the standpoint, not just talking about elderly individuals. This is alluding back to what I was saying earlier. Like, even if you're 20 or 25, all right, if you're 20, 25, chances are you're going to be much more smarter than a 5, 6, 7-year-old or something like that. But if you're 20 or 25, is it quite possible that a 16, 17-year-old has far more superior knowledge than you? Absolutely. Probably highly unlikely, but it's possible. And I'm saying don't rule that out. Just don't be naive. And the whole idea of that being of an older age. And another thing, I'm gonna wrap this up pretty soon. When you get to a point where you're able to exercise your critical thinking skill set on a high level within society, at that point, your ability to be able to exercise discernment and exercise good decisions, it goes through the roof. And there's a lot of 30, 40, 50-year-olds who act like 20-year-olds. And believe it or not, there are quite a few late teens, 20 and mid 20s who would perceivably act more mature than those who I've just described. So older does not mean wiser. Challenge the older individual if you believe that they're wrong. Now, can they provide you with a set of experiences that can be useful to you? Absolutely. But just because you're older does not mean you know all, and it's not the end all be all. That's what I believe. So I reject the notion that older always means wiser. Older always means much more intelligent. Older can also mean a much more or a stronger possibility of having a stern belief that amplifies one's ignorance. So that's all I'm gonna discuss with you right now. A lot of folks ain't gonna like this, but it's okay. Am I wrong? How do you feel about this? Thank you for tuning in. My name is BenPhrases. As always, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.